Hey guys, how's it going? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides, and I have one special Shelby GT350 behind me. This is a new 2018 Shelby GT350, but it's not just any 2018. This is that new Orange Fury Metallic, and I'm telling you, this thing just pops. And we're only in the showroom here at Walker Ford. Imagine this color outside, the metallic in it. It is wonderful. If you have not seen my review, my in-depth review of the new 2018 Ford Mustang in this Orange Fury metallic color, please go to that in-depth playlist section and click that video and watch that. It's a really good in-depth video. I'm going to give you a nice walk around of this one because guess what? This one showed up a couple days ago and it sold within 24 hours. So this is actually already owned by somebody, and that's why I have to be a little distance when it comes to my hands touching this, and also the drool coming out of my mouth and getting on the paint job because this one already has an owner. But let me just give you a little brief history of Shelby if you don't know what that means. So there's a guy, his name's Carroll Shelby. For many years, he was a race car driver. He actually won the 24 Hours of Le Mans for Aston Martin. Eventually, he discovered he had a bad heart, and the doctors told him he had to hang up his helmet. He actually owned a chicken farm out in Texas. So he was doing that. Eventually, he got contacted by Ford, and they had this idea to take a car called the AC Bristol, take the engine out of that, which is a British car, and shoehorn a huge American V8. Eventually, that would turn into the awesome creation known as the 427 Cobra. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you definitely want to look that up. Amazing, amazing car, even by today's standards. He also, besides working with that project, took the Ford Mustang, which came out in 1964 and a half, that's 65 Mustang, and he did some voodoo and some magic and turned that into one of the baddest road racing machines the country had ever seen. And if you know anything about the Trans Am series and SCCA racing, I'm telling you, the amount of trophies he had, he probably needed a bigger chicken coop to fit them all in. Fast forward to the 21st century, this is what we have. Now, unfortunately, back in 2014, Carroll Shelby passed away, but I promise you, he is looking down right now with the biggest smile on his face because this thing is a proper representation of his name. Let's go ahead and take a look since we're standing at the side of it. You may look and say, hey, it looks just like a Mustang. What's the difference? Well, it starts off life as a Mustang, but I promise you, you'll see that these Shelbys are very unique and different. One thing I want to immediately point out that makes this a Shelby GT350, besides this name badge, is if you look at the fender here, this is actually got a vent in the side. The fenders, the car at the front end is actually wider than a standard Mustang. So this is going to be a functional vent here that's going to bring hot air out from underneath that engine compartment. Because remember, what's awesome about this car, it doesn't have the Coyote V8 5-liter engine from the Mustang GT. This has an engine called the Voodoo engine. It's a first ever for Ford flat plane crankshaft that this thing could redline at 8,250 RPM. You heard that right. A V8 that redlines at 8,250 RPM. And I'm telling you, if you haven't heard this thing yet, I did do an in-depth review. Click on that. I just uploaded it just today. You'll hear the sound of that Voodoo engine. And I'm telling you, it'll make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. Another thing that you could automatically tell that this is a Shelby GT350 is this lower side skirt here. This is specific to the car, and it's fully functional. I really, really like the way the orange pops with the black. It's so perfect. It really is. If you would have told me, hey, I got an orange Shelby GT350, I might look at you a little funny. But once you see this thing, it's mind-blowing. Here's another feature. This is Shelby GT350 specific. These are GT350 wheels only for this car. That's a huge 6-piston Brembo brake caliper. And then, of course, you have fully cross-drilled and ventilated rotors with aluminum hats. These aluminum hats actually are lighter rotors than your standard rotor because on a normal street car, this hat portion that Tom is showing you right now on the camera, this is actually steel on a lot of cars. So with the aluminum, less weight, it's rotating mass, it's going to make that steering that much quicker. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front of this car. So you can get a Shelby GT350 without stripes. I'm glad that this one has the stripes because you could really see how it really makes the orange pop. And I really like what they did with the stripes with the white. It gives it a nice, differentiation between the color. And as you can see, looking at the stripes, this has a functional heat extractor. What a heat extractor does is exactly what it says. It pulls, it extracts heat from underneath that hood. Because remember, that V8 at the end of the day is producing over 500 horsepower. That's a lot of heat. Heat could rob you of horsepower, and that could be a problem. I love the front of these Shelby GT350s. It looks like a snake. I mean, it really does, the way that they have the grill and the openings and everything. Lower lip spoiler here. I really like the way they embossed the Shelby name. I don't care what Shelby you're looking at. Go back to the 1960s. This is the same exact Shelby Cobra logo that they put on the older cars with the GT350. Very, very nice touch. The way that it is just balanced and proportioned, I really like the way they have functional. Because remember, being a car enthusiast, you want a car that things that's on the car do something. All these openings are functional. This is not show and just a bunch of, silliness. It's all go, not just show. And that's where you could really see all the features. Let's go ahead and take a look out the back. The way that this car is just balanced, when it's sitting, it looks like it's going 180 miles an hour. But the back is really where they did a lot of work, whether you're buying a Mustang or a Shelby, because you look at the back of this car, it screams that older Mustang from the late 60s. I really like the tri-bar taillights. Remember, when you turn on the turn signal, these are going to be that sequential where they light up one at a time to show the direction. I really like what Ford did with this trunk lid spoiler here. It's large enough to where it's functional and it really looks good, but it's not too obnoxious. Now remember, if you want to go bigger, you can. It's the GT350R. That's actually going to have a totally different wing on the back, and that's a way to separate the GT350 and the 350R. It also has some carbon fiber wheels and whatnot. I did do a review of one of those. Go to that quickie review list section and click that if you want to see a little bit more. But just to wrap it up, the way that the racing stripes come all the way down to right above the rear diffuser, that's how you know that racing stripes are done right. Some people who put racing stripes in their cars, they stop at the trunk and they don't finish it all the way down because it takes a lot of work. Look how nice it's done from the factory. I love this lower diffuser here. And those exhausts, just like on some of the other Ford products like the RS, those are adaptable. So what you could do is you could actually open and close baffles inside, whether you want to make this loud or quiet. It's up to you. So as you can see, this Shelby GT350, Carroll Shelby, has nothing but anything to be proud with this car. And at the end of the day, it's very, very unique. This car sounds like no other. If these are the things you like to see on Raity's Rides, leave a comment in that comment section. If you have something specific you want to see, leave a comment in that comment section. You can message me at raitiesrides.com. Go to my Instagram page, Raity's Rides, Twitter, my Facebook, Raity's Rides account page. All original content. Thank you guys. Thank you for subscribing. We made it up to 4,000 subscribers. I'm really excited where this is going. And just like always, I'll see you on the next ride.